Here we are. All right. Well, welcome back to Heart to Hearts. Tonight we've got the lovely Shakira from Fusion Therapy and Melly Rose and myself just popping back on really to have a bit more of a discussion about some of the things that have been going on. It's been a, about a month since we've even been able to get back to doing this, and everybody's been doing amazing things. I'll let you guys introduce yourselves a little bit, and then I want to talk about some of the stuff that I have seen going on. So, Shakira, could you introduce yourself, please?
Certainly. Hi, everyone. I'm Shakira Quinn from Fusion Therapy. I am a healer and an energy conduit. And that's all I can think of to say today.
That's enough.
And I'm Melly Rose, and I'm also a healer and channel and body worker, and I run workshops and retreats and speak light languages. So I just work on recoding the DNA and cellular knowledge of the body, really. Recoding, decoding, deprogramming, reprogramming.
Thank you. I'm Sarah Seeger. I'm also working as a healer and in similar ways, really, to you guys. Lots of energy work, but working with the body primarily, and then also the light language. So that was something that I did want to touch on at some point. And Shakira's got her light language as well, and she's a musician, so hers comes through rather musically. But yeah, it's an interesting little thing that's happening for a lot of people. And I was lucky enough to be around when Melly Rose got her language through, and that was quite a full-on awakening. Mine came on a lot slower, which I was very pleased about. And what about you, Shakira? How did yours start?
I was first introduced to it through the Catholic Church when I was a child. Actually, there were a lot of born-again Christians who the Holy Spirit spoke through them, and although they wouldn't call it light language, obviously, and so that was my first real experience of well, as an 8-year-old, it was just so out there, and I actually really loved it. I loved it. I first started to experience it in 2014, and I fought against it quite considerably when it first started coming through, because I had this real belief that unless I could understand what was coming through, then I had no right to speak, because I was responsible for what energy was coming through. And so anytime the light language would come through, I just used to start saying Hail Marys and Our Fathers to try and suppress it. And about 2 years later, I was working on another healer, and it started happening. And so I started praying again, and she just said to me, "What the hell are you doing?" And I went, praying? Why? She goes, no. What are you suppressing? And I went, "Oh God," and I burst into tears. And I said, "I've got all this light language coming through." And she goes, "Speak it." And I went, "No, because I don't know what it means, and I don't want to curse you, or, I just, I'm such a control freak." And so she said, "Just do it." And so I just allowed it to come, and it blew my mind, because I spoke for 5 minutes without taking a breath. And even though I'd physically run out of breath, my mouth kept moving and sound kept coming out. And I'm sitting there watching the clock going, I should be passing out by now because I don't have any oxygen. And it just kept coming. And I was just in this suspended state of peace, and got to the end of it. And my healer friend on the table just kind of looked up, and she goes, "Thank you." And then just went back into just healing. And after that, we had a long talk for about 2 hours, and I spoke about my fears of around it, and also the whole egoic thing of running around going, "Oh, I do light language." It's sort of just, I don't know. I struggled for it to sit comfortably with me for quite a while, and now I've just got over it. And if it comes through, it comes through, and if it doesn't, it doesn't. And I just feel honoured and blessed that I'm a vehicle for the sound, the healing. Long
Beautiful.
story, sorry.
That's the story.
Yes.
And that's it's interesting, because I think that's part of the discussion is about, you know, when there's religious programming in our lives, we can feel like there's something wrong with it. And so that's where I am a little bit careful with my clients about not, I'm really like, I just feel my way into it. And if it just won't go, then I just talk to them about it, and ask for permission. But I know, Mel, like you're just really brave, and you seem to be able to just do it, and people are very accepting, right?
Yeah. I mean, when my languages first came, they were very, I was in the, where I was up in Mana, and they came in a very thunderous kind of terrifying way. And there was someone that thought there was some kind of exorcism going on, because I had no control. It was like a full body takeover, and I was toning, and rivers of sweat, and full body shakes and everything. So that, I was lucky that I had a core group of people that were really powerful around me, and understood what was happening, um, and then you shortly after. But I think that then I started using it around people I knew to begin with, because I was like, what on earth is going on here? And in the beginning, it was very, it was like there was a huge electrical field around me, and it was extremely, um, loud, and probably would have been a little intimidating for some people. And obviously over time it's softened off. Those languages do come and go. Sometimes they were very, very ancient languages. Um, But yeah, I tend to just say to my clients now, and I have a lot of different clients, from the corporate fields to holistic, and, sometimes they're just coming for body work. But I just say to them, I never know what I'm going to do till I get you on the table. Sometimes it starts off physical and it becomes energetic, and sometimes it's the reverse. And sometimes I speak like languages, which might sound a bit like gobbledygook, and I'll just get on with that. They come and go. Don't worry about it. If if you ever are uncomfortable, just let me know. And I just say that at the beginning, and then usually they'll just sort of be quite soft in the beginning, and then they might get stronger depending if there's a lot of coding. So the coding is very rapid and very staccato-y. And so, if I have a lot of coding, that comes through a little differently. And I did have one guy, in his 60s, and actually I worked on him physically for 3 months. I don't know. He was coming regularly for body work, because he had a lot of physical stuff going on, and he, we were getting amazing results. And he was on the table one day, and I went up around his head, and suddenly this burst of language came out, and I just stood there for a moment, and I went, sorry about that. And he goes, what the hell was that? And I said, oh, those are light languages, and sometimes they just help pull something out of the body. And he goes, is that what that bloody is? And then he sat up and he started speaking all these light languages. And he goes, I've always bloody wondered what that was. So I've realized that, you really can't judge a book by its cover. And, there's somebody that I thought would only be able to manage physical work, and he spoke light language for years before me. So now I just don't really worry. I just get on with it, and I find that, as long as I'm getting results, people just don't seem to really worry. They do accept it, and it's all you really want at the end of the day, isn't it? A result.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I find that actually, um, if it's coming through, it's meant to be there. It's for
Yes.
them. And
Yes.
I've really checked in with myself, because I've had some real, you always have these moments where there's this language coming through that's not even recognizable to you. You haven't experienced it before, and the energy of it is different.
Yeah.
And I had somebody come, and there was this stuff coming through, and I thought afterwards, oh, I need to go and check this out and see, you know, what was that? Who's that? Who is that coming through? Or like, what's the energetic frequency coming through? Because often it's kind of archetypal energy or
Mm.
something like that. So I often will resonate with something and recognize it as being one thing or another.
Mm.
And when I checked in, I used my pendulum, and it basically just said, it's none of your business. It was for her. It wasn't for you. You don't need to know.
Interesting. Well, actually, on that note, something, I know we talk a lot about light languages, and, obviously sometimes you're getting messages with them and you're getting some quite clear images and pictures, and, sometimes that's helping bring the flow of information for the person. But what I have noticed over the years is some patterns, right? So, sometimes I have an Arabic person on the table and the language that comes sounds almost Arabic. And I've even had them say, are you speaking Arabic? Like, I feel like I understand what you're saying. And when I'm with Māori people, often Lemurian or Māori comes through and it sounds very, very Māori. And I've had European language come through for Europeans, and it does make me wonder, and this is just my curiosity at play. It does make me wonder if our earth languages, if they are rooted in a variety of these galactic light languages, if they are not necessarily just a language of the heart, but what if they are actual root languages that come from a number of galactic planets and have just changed over thousands of years to evolve and become what they are today, but really they're potentially coming from a number of other planets that have seeded their roots here.
I would actually like to speak to that, because a lot of the language that comes through me, I always refer to it as ancient earth languages, because it really doesn't feel extraterrestrial or intergalactic. But and I know sometimes it's like the language of the gnomes or the language of the fairies, or even angelic, the angelic realms, or the tree realms, nature realms. Where did it originate from? Of
Yeah.
course, it will have been this universal from coming through, coming in, and being seeded, being planted. And so the way you've explained it is quite beautiful. It really resonates with me.
Oh,
Thank
well,
you.
that's really interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel the same way, that, like there's such a vibrational shift with certain languages. So there's, like it is speaking. I always say to people, it's actually speaking to your cells. It's speaking to your genetic makeup, and so that's going in a way that I can't do in this physical, work that I'm doing. But it can reach in, and the amount of times that people understand it, they feel it, and they're
Yeah.
like, that was just so beautiful. I really felt like I knew that language. I mean, that's bananas, and it's so true. But I also have this thing of like, well, if we are vibrating at this frequency where we've all come in and agreeing to be in this realm, doing what we're doing right now,
Mm.
we're also then only vibrating at a certain frequency. So if we can then lift our capacity, to bring in a different frequency, that's, I feel like the light language just cuts through a lot because of the lack of being able to rationalize it. There's no intellectualizing it because it doesn't work. And I think, oh, sometimes I just want to say, okay, just turn up my capacity to hear a different vibration. And the other night I was sitting out under the moon, and I was like, okay, just turn up my capacity for the vibrational frequencies that I can see, so that then I can see what I am not seeing, because I feel like we're just so repressed here, and we've got this capacity and this ability that's unlimited compared to what we know.
Mm,
And really, like, maybe it is that we've just got, this is just one way to get this information through, but maybe we're going to be able
mm,
to hear. Maybe this is the language of the trees, and maybe if we can
mm,
tune into that, we can actually get that another way. But anyway, whatever it is, it's beautiful, and I definitely think, like, sometimes I'm very clear about the galactic stuff because of the messages that come through with it. But equally, again, the elemental stuff is just as
yes.
galactic,
Mm.
So
It is.
yeah,
Yeah,
whatever it is, it's always
absolutely.
beautiful.
Yeah, I agree. And I think um, for about 18 months before my languages came, I was having these experiences around the table where I suddenly felt like I was this huge being, and my head was almost touching the ceiling, and I just I could feel this choking in my throat, and like I wanted to make all these sounds, but I was scared to open my mouth in the middle of a session, and because I didn't know what was going to come out. And so they were obviously trying to work their way out for a long time before they actually came. And but these extremely tall beings that were coming into the room, and that I felt myself becoming, it's like they were trying to show me something. um, but then, as Shakira says, other times, they're very angelic frequencies. They're very, and very, like you say, very elemental frequencies. Um, and, they can be coming from anywhere, because ultimately we are interdimensional. And even if you look at the planet Earth, there are, you know, probably hundreds of different dimensions and realms all around us, with different existences that we can't see because they sit on a different frequency. And, we're kind of sometimes moving in and out of those and getting a taste of them, being interdimensional, multidimensional. But, we don't really have access to the range of what exists around us here on planet Earth, sitting in different dimensions and frequencies. We just don't have access to all of it, just like we don't have access to all of the pieces of the puzzle with the light language.
Mm. It feels like walking through the dark, hey, with you.
But yeah,
You're
yeah,
kind of like, I don't know where I'm going, but I just have to trust that my feet will find the floor.
yeah, yeah, that's right. I know, it's crazy.
That kind of brings us to, because that's the same. I feel like that's where we're at right now, on Earth with humanity, is like this walking into the unknown, and we have no map, also no external guidance. We can only go in to get some guidance because everything else is just, at the moment, like, where are we going? Or what are we creating right now?
Mm,
And how do we know how to create something we've never seen before? And the light language is a lovely thing when you've had that experience, or you have that coming through you, because it does allow you to slip into that trust and allow things to just take their own direction.
mm,
Where I feel so much empathy towards people who don't have that yet. They really are flailing about in the dark, because all you can do when you don't know any different is cling to what's been known before. And if that didn't work for us, we've all got to do better. We've got to figure it out. I'm thinking, of drawing, or any kind of creative thing where you can just allow it to flow through will help bring that change through much quicker.
mm,
I've been very interested in watching a lot of friends and co-workers, and people in different spiritual groups, as they have allowed themselves to just trust that these noises in their heads is light language, or language of the earth, language of the soul, whatever title they want to put on it. And as they have allowed themselves to just really sit with that energy and have it come through, it has strengthened their capacity to hear their own soul, and it has strengthened the capacity for them to channel. So
Beautiful.
anybody, you know, singing in the shower, seriously, and just making songs up, just allowing notes to come through, allowing music to come through, allowing gobbledygook to come through, just allowing yourself that freedom to just let it happen.
Yeah.
Nothing is in vain. Everything has a purpose, and everything is strengthening. You know, you can't do this until you've got this. And so doing this is going to strengthen that, and that's going to strengthen that. And playing with the concept that you might actually be a channel of light language. Why not? Why wouldn't you be? For goodness sake. Why would some mystical being deprive you of that? Just do it, try it.
I love that.
Go.
That's the kind of stuff that Mel was saying to me when I hadn't got mine, but we knew it was coming. Was just like, just practice, and you really have to get out of your head a little bit to allow it to allow yourself to just make ridiculous noises, and and see what happens. But I feel like everything you do, even if it is the singing in the shower or whatever does it, I feel like when you're clearing through the throat chakra as you do this, and I don't know that there's a level that you get to or anything like that, but the more that you do vocalize and open up through the throat chakra, I feel like that's the path to your heart. And so if you can do that, you're just always opening up this channel right into your center. And so to me, it's like there's so many levels about it that we don't understand yet. But to me, it helps me to stay heart centered, because then I'm not doing this all the time, thinking about it all the time. It's definitely helped with channeling. It's definitely helped bring through messages for people too. So yeah.
I agree, and I've actually seen that. So sound frequencies can actually tune your chakras. Just like you're tuning a guitar or a musical instrument, you can tune your chakras with sound frequencies. And if you musical Shakira, you would, I'm sure, make sounds that are connected in this way. And sometimes I have toning come through, but I've actually seen around the throat that so I saw it as a vibrational kind of energy, and it was different colors and things around here. And then I had one client that has really, really struggled with the throat, and I have seen with her that the only way the throat is ever going to change and heal is through vibration that you make. So you can get sound coming in for the throat, but you actually must also make sound, and it creates this vibration in the vocal cords, which ripples out into the energy all around the throat. I mean, it's not a round circle. I see it as kind of like, waves of energy around the throat. And when you are exercising the vocal cords, whether through crying or laughing or screaming or singing, whatever it is, you are you're becoming a conduit for this vibration that has a healing effect on the whole throat chakra area. And it was really interesting. You must make these vibrational sounds. So if you've got somebody who's completely incapable of making sound or yelling or really releasing emotion, then that their throat is going to be very, very hard to clear.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, because no one can do it for you, right? And so if you can get out of your own way to just let it happen, you're just freeing yourself up so much. I was just thinking about how little boys, I mean, girls too, but girls do use their voices so well, so they're so verbal and articulate often, and they're happy to sing, and they're not I mean, not every girl, but a lot of girls. But I was thinking about little boys because my son and other little boys around us, I just used to notice that they used to make the most ridiculous sounds, and they would do it repetitively, and it would be like, what are they doing? They're so boys were doing, like always doing things that seemed completely nonsensical to me. But I think now, oh my God, you think about at 13 years old, those boys often just stop talking and none of those sounds get through. It's, like, yeah, there's something really powerful about using your voice. And I guess it's a little bit like when we say to people, you've got to speak your truth, or, they're having issues with their jaw or whatever, where they're clamping down, not sharing their truth. But our truth doesn't have to be logical or reasonable or words, so it's what we're discovering, right? Like, it doesn't have to be one thing or another. It can just be the sound and just be the vibration.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm like seeing men's groups doing lots of chanting and stuff.
There are some good men's groups starting up now, which is great to see, because the men need the men.
Yeah, absolutely.
And chanting mudra, chanting is actually a fantastic way to start to get everything really loosened up. Using some of those, primordial sounds, the ums, the ahs, the ooh. A lot of the sounds that the Māori language is actually based on, very, very, very primal and and also the Sanskrit as well. Doing that chanting can really open you up, and it just gets you comfortable with making sounds that you wouldn't necessarily normally make, certainly in the English language. And I think chanting is if you're interested in light language, you should certainly look at chanting as a way of supporting your energetic vibration, to actually hold it, to hear it, and to transmute it in a way that can resonate, so that your body resonates with what it is that you're bringing through as well, whether or not, as you were with the clients, Sarah, able to interpret it or even know where it was coming from.
Where would you recommend someone started, Shakira?
Always with the Om. Even if you just sit for 30 seconds every morning, comfortable, you don't have to put yourself into any crazy, legs up around your knees and your neck kind of position, but just sitting really comfortably with your hands in prayer position and just going, oh. If nothing else, it's going to bring you into absolute alignment. Your chakras are going to go, whoa, boom. And, just take slow, deep breaths and really pronounce the ah or as three separate, the A, the U, and the M as three separate syllables, which is aum, which is the feminine of om. So you've got the two sounds. So, first you sing the om, then the A-U-M, om, A-U-M. And if you just do that 3 times each, because 3 being the sacred Holy Trinity, if you were just to do that every day, that in itself is going to loosen up everything through your rib cage, your breathing, your head, everything. And it's going to bring you peace. What a better way. And then you can go and have your coffee. It'll taste better too.
I think that's a really, really sound piece of advice. I think that what I want to say for people who may be stumbling upon this and going, well, this is all a bit too freaky, that if there's any fear around anything, you just hand it over. You just say to yourself that you put protection around yourself. See that white light around you, or whatever it is that makes you feel protected. You invoke that, so that then you can, give that fear away and let it be taken from you, because there's no need to do something if you're feeling, well, there's no good in doing something if you're feeling fearful. So just a real quick reminder that, if you want to go and have an experiment, but you're feeling a little uncertain about the intention, then you set the intention. You're bringing it through for your highest good. You're asking for, God's light around you, or white light around you, whatever it is that helps you to feel that you've protected yourself, because your intention is the most important part of this.
Thank you for saying that, Sarah.
Well, that was good, because I was thinking we were going to talk about dreaming, but I think that worked out beautifully.
Whole different direction.
Yeah. Well, I don't think we have to do too much more, because I like to keep things a little bit succinct so that it's not too much of an ask of anyone listening. But I wondered if each of you, or one of you, whatever you want, would like to maybe just bring through a little blessing with light language before we finish.
Melly, would you like to?
Shall we both do a little one? In fact, all three of us.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay, I'll start then, and we can all just see what comes through. Ana hainachlama iahwa ti kunachle ewachana. Oshunukurmahi, onukurashalama iwa, onukoya koreana koyana koyana koyana. Ara, ara, ara.
Thank you. And I will bring something through too. Ale hil shukuya ka ia kumbaya la hi susuya taka. Ia tukuya la ka o ia lui shukumbaya ka ia sisi la kuya taka ia. Ia kuya ala kumbaya ka ia la uishiki a. Ia tukuya ila ka ia kumbaya sisi la kuya. Thank you.
Chika lemerika erba elmanenga no jomana jomana kala kala bala 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 mani I me al bala kincho ni mana makancho.
Thank you. Oh my gosh. I'm
Amazing.
going to stop the recording there, and then, let everyone sit with that. I won't be a second. Thank you.